Okay, and now we will go ahead in understanding what is the procedure of designing a beam. All this while we were learning, we were understanding what is the procedure of analyzing a beam. In analysis, we have seen three types of beams. We have seen the under reinforced, we have seen the balanced one, and we have seen the over reinforced. In all the three cases, how we achieve the target of finding what is the moment of resistance, what is the capability of the section in resisting the bending moment, the external acting bending moment. So the procedures we have seen the different problems as far as moment of resistance is concerned. Now as far as the design is concerned, we have to understand that design is more or less exactly the reverse process of the analysis problem. Exactly the reverse problem. Uh, the reverse in the sense, in the analysis we have been given with the dimensions, we have been given with the grade of steel and concrete, and we have been provided with the steel, and we are supposed to find the moment, its capability. Now in this case, the moment acting on the beam is given, and the parameters may be given, may not be given, or sketchy parameters may be given. The width may be told to us from architectural point of view or whatever. So some parameters may be given, some parameters may not be given, and we have to achieve all these parameters for that external acting bending moment. So one thing which is necessary is we need to arrive at a suitable cross-sectional dimension. We have to also calculate the amount of reinforcing steel to take care of the externally acting forces. We have to define the material properties such as the grade of concrete, the grade of steel, and at the same time we have to keep in mind the limit state of collapse, the failure, the safety, and the serviceability criteria also. Obviously, in order to perform the design for flexure, the design for bending, what we need to know is how much is the bending moment. So we need to know what is the maximum bending moment coming in a beam, and where how much bending moment exists throughout the length, how much is the bending moment existing. We need to be knowing this beforehand before we start designing. So best thing is we should be knowing the bending moment diagram along with the values. Normally, whenever we perform a design, the cross-sectional dimensions are assumed. Normally they are assumed either based on the thumb rule, either based on whatever the thumb rules we normally practice, or based on our past experiences, or maybe the architectural conditions, something like my wall thickness is this much, my column width is this much, so my beam width has to be this much. So the cross-sectional dimensions sometimes are assumed, sometimes they are arrived at, and when we are designing, we verify whether whatever we have assumed, the cross-sectional dimensions we have assumed, whether they were adequate, they were enough. All these things are verified, and if it is not enough, then the necessary changes should be made. Whenever we are designing a beam, please keep in mind it is not only that we are designing it for shear, we need to design it for we don't only not only design it for bending, but we need to design it for shear, torsion, we need to design it for bond. At the same time, we have to take care of deflection, crack width, durability, everything. As far as this chapter is concerned, in our study, we will be only studying flexure, limit state of flexure. That means we will be only looking at bending. But at some places, we will be looking at the serviceability criteria, something like the deflection, how much should be the span to depth ratio. So serviceability limit state also we will be referring wherever the case is. When we are designing, please remember, the design of beam never provides only one solution. Something like, what I would like to say is, if the beam sizes can be changed, the beam design changes. If the width of the beam changes, the design changes. If the depth of the beam is changed, the design changes. The grade of the concrete is changed, the design changes. So you cannot say that you will have only one solution. You can have n number of solutions for a particular beam having a particular amount of bending moment on it. So depending upon the changes which we do in the parameters, the design will go on changing. Increasing the width, many a times increasing the width helps us rather than increasing the depth helps us rather than increasing the width. Increasing the depth is much better as far as resisting the external acting bending moment is concerned. It is also better as far as serviceability criteria is concerned, as far as deflections, cracks, crack widths and those things. So increasing the depth would be much better at times than increasing the width. Normally whenever we are designing, we would choose the depth to width ratio somewhere in between 1.5 to 2 or 2.25, somewhere around 2 also it is taken by most of the designers. Okay, the depth to the width ratio is somewhere around 1.5 to 2.5, generally taken as 2. Normally the beams, once their sections are decided for the whole structure, the beam sections are generally not changed. They are kept the same because then it will be helping in construction and reusing the formwork. In India, normally the beam width is decided by the wall thickness. Normally it is kept as 200 mm or 230 mm. Now the basic requirement of the limit state of flexure is that ultimate moment due to the external loads and self weights, that is the BMU, ultimate bending moment which is acting, that bending moment, ultimate bending moment, should not be greater than the ultimate moment of resistance. The moment of resistance is the capacity of the beam. So the external acting bending moment, the ultimate one, should not be more than the ultimate capacity of the beam itself. Otherwise the beam would fail. The second part which would be important is that the second most important requirement of design of beam is that the failure at the limit state should be ductile. We always prefer that the failure should be ductile rather than a brittle failure. So we would always prefer the section to be under reinforced, not even balanced, not over reinforced obviously. So we would prefer that the section would be under reinforced. So basically the design is based on BMU is less than or equal to MU and XU less than or equal to XU max. Now what are the steps in design? What are the various steps in design? There are few steps which I have listed down over here. First one is, when the beam is to be designed, assume a suitable grade of concrete and steel. Whatever. Assume the suitable grade of concrete, grade of steel. Assume the beam width. Whatever. Assume a ratio. Beam width is assumed normally based on architectural conditions. It could be the wall thickness, or it could be based on our past experience or thumb rule, whatever, and we take a ratio for the depth to the width of the beam, normally taken somewhere around 2. Round of this value, whatever we get of the depth, to about 50 mm on the higher side. Suppose I get the value as 380, I can round it off to somewhere around 400 or 425, something around that. So round it off on the higher side. Assume clear cover. Assume bar diameter, which one will be using. It is only assumptions, the things can change. Clear cover can change, bar diameter can change depending upon the design, and then as per this calculate the effective cover and the overall depth of the beam. So now with this we have arrived at the width of the beam and we have arrived at the overall depth of the beam. Having got this, find the bending moment acting on the beam due to all the loads, including the self weight of the beam. Including the self weight of the beam, find the bending moment. Calculate the value of BMU, bending moment acting on the beam ultimate, by applying the partial load factors, whatever are the load factors in the appropriate condition, whatever are the conditions. Step number 4 is calculate MU limiting of this beam. Now for this beam, we know the value of B, we know the value of effective depth, We know the grade of concrete, we know the grade of steel. So all these parameters are known. So mu of the beam can be easily calculated from G1.1c, page 96 of IS 456. Using this condition, we can easily get the value of mu limiting. If mu limiting, if its own capacity, if the capacity of the beam with these parameters is greater than Bmu, if it is greater than the ultimate bending moment coming over the beam, then the assumed section is acceptable. If the mu limiting, the capability of the beam section is less than the external acting bending moment ultimate, then the assumed section is not acceptable. Change the width or the depth, or maybe both, and repeat the process from the beginning and continue till we get mu limiting greater than external acting bending moment ultimate. Since mu limiting is greater than external acting bending moment ultimate 1, this design is an under reinforced section. When we get that it is an under reinforced section, now we proceed to find the value of AST. To find the value of AST, use IS 456 clause G1.1b, page 96, that is this one over here. In this case, put the value of mu is equal to the external acting bending moment ultimate. Having got this, over here in this particular formula, mu is known, 0.87 is known, Fy is known, D is known, FCK is known, only unknown is AST. This becomes a quadratic equation. The value of AST can be found out easily. Having found out the value of AST, the next step is find out AST minimum. How much should be the minimum amount of steel in tension in the beam? For that, the clause is 26.5.1, page 46 and 47, page 46, 47 of this code. So we have that tension reinforcement given by AS upon BD is equal to 0.85 upon Fy. Now verify that the minimum amount of reinforcement is provided. If the calculated reinforcement is less than minimum, provide minimum. If the calculated one is more, provide more. So whichever is more, the calculated one or minimum, that much amount of reinforcement has to be provided. Now depending upon the area of steel arrived at, calculate the number of bars to be provided, because we already know the diameter. Please note over here also we are allowed to change the diameter, there is no problem. Having got that done, detail out the section graphically. Show the graphical layout, graphical or pictorial view of the beam, maybe in a sectional elevation and a cross section. Having done this, the beam, whatever is in our mind, whatever we have designed, the things can be transferred very clearly in the mind of the person who is going to lay it over the site.